Director Corbett,
Here.
Director Eccles,
Here.
Director Lane,
Here.
and I believe that's it. Oh, and President Rosario,
I am here.
the most important person here.
I was going to say something, but okay.
And then let me, President Rosario, I apologize. Let me call the staff. Present today are General Manager Landreth, Deputy General Manager Alvarez, District Counsel Victor, CFO AGM Walker, all the assistant managers, Christine Kelchner, Jim O'Connor, Carol Johnson. I don't see Chief Chiobaro, so I'm assuming that's, oh, there he is, Chief Chiobaro. And I think that's all of our assistant general managers and our new chief, Allison Cook. So.
Excellent. Welcome to all. And I'm going to ask Director Eccles if you could do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Great. Well, thank you, President Rosario. I'm going to start by acknowledging that at least here in Berkeley, where I am, we are on the traditional lands of the Wichan people who spoke both the Ohlone and Chochenyo languages, and that this land was never lawfully ceded. And with that, I'm going to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
And
that this land was lawfully ceded, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice,
liberty and justice for all.
Someday.
Someday.
Thank you. Today's regular meeting is held in accordance with the Governor Newsom's executive order, allowing for board members to participate remotely. We are also providing a live audio and video streaming and have provided the public the opportunity to submit written comments and call in for public comments or an item on the staff report. And to call in and leave a voice message, I will have our clerk explain the 3 ways that you can participate.
Yes, President Rosario, members of the public can email me at yburial@ebparks.org. They can also call at area code 510-544-2016, or they can simply attend the meeting and let me know that they are interested in a public comment. So thank you, President Rosario.
You're welcome. Thank you. Do any board members have any questions about the meeting procedures today? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
I move we adopt the agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, will you please take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
President Rosario,
Aye.
Director Lane.
Aye.
Thank you. It's a unanimous approval of the agenda.
And we are now, that brings us to item B. And that is, we get to welcome and swear in our new general manager, Sabrina Landreth. And I am privileged and honored to do the swearing in. And after I say aye, you can state your name, and then we'll continue. So here we go. Raise your right hand. I
Sabrina Landreth,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Are we
Thank you.
allowed to applaud?
The only thing we're missing is the cake.
Oh,
We're missing
It's
Someday.
saving us the calories. Come on, it's really healthy.
Would you like to
Thank
say
you.
would you like to say a couple of words?
Oh, sure. Thank you, President Rosario, and all of the directors of the board. Again, I just am absolutely honored and thrilled to be here. I showed up on my first day yesterday, and I had a badge and an email and an office ready to go, and everything was organized, and everyone's been just so welcoming. And the best part about it is that I have received no shortage of already suggestions, feedback, opinions, and all sorts of things that people want me to know about. So I love it. I want more to come from the public and the board, and definitely from our staff as I get up to speed here and during my entire tenure. I couldn't be more thrilled and honored, and just thank you again for the appointment.
You're welcome. And it's so appropriate that you are the first woman to be the head of this organization. And here we are at the month of recognizing history of women in the nation and in the state. So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Madam. Yes, President Rosario, we do. Sorry. I
Well,
know.
it is Women's History Month.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Surrounded by women.
We received a total of 17 emails. 14 of those are regarding the Vargas and Pickering entrance, and the remainder of the other 3 are on different topics. I was going to initially read the comments, but I see some of those people that sent comments are in the meeting, so I'm going to acknowledge them by what I see. I'm going to start with William Wyrigi. Sir, you have 3 minutes. You can
Thank you.
unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. William Uregi, Mission Peak Conservancy. And I just want to say congratulations to Ms. Landreth for this in a very, very important role, supporting the district and the many parks and the many communities that you service. So congratulations. We look forward to your leadership. Mission Peak Conservancy is an advocacy for park access and multi-use trails. We work with the Park District in support of the parks that surround Southern Alameda County, and therefore are indirectly involved in promoting access where applicable. We're slightly concerned about barriers that were erected at the Pickering entrance to the park. It's an unofficial entrance to Vargas Plateau. There's been very little community outreach, communications to members of the public prior to this gate being barricaded. And so the issue is we would prefer to see that the Park District actually work with local communities, explain that there's issues, post signs indicating what these issues are, and or at least a reach out. There is a East Bay Board liaison committee with the city of Fremont where these issues could be raised and advocated for. We fully support the Park District. We want the Park District to be extremely successful in supporting all of the open space and regional parks that surround our communities. And this would include Guerin, Dry Creek, Vargas, Pleasanton Ridge, Mission Peak. There's so many. And so bottom line is, please let us know what we can do to support you. We're very interested in working with you and to ensure that your work is successful and our work is successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wyrigi. The next speaker will be Monica Melville. Monica, you can unmute yourself and you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Monica Melville, And I too congratulate Ms. Landreth, and I hope you'll be wildly successful. Your success will be the park success, which will benefit all of us. I live very close to the Pickering Gate to Vargas Plateau, and this park has been an amazing blessing, especially during the pandemic. In about an hour, I'm able to hike up to the highest point of the park and get a good cardio workout. So it's really distressing that the park district closed this access all of a sudden and without any community input. This closure adds 2 additional miles to my hike, which has caused me to just not bother with it. The hard closure of the Pickering Gate also raises 2 major safety concerns. First, the fire trucks and emergency vehicles will not be able to access the hillside from the Pickering Gate, and entering from the Morrison Canyon Gate would waste precious time and pose other limitations, as it's a narrow section where cattle often congregate. Second, the cattle could also pose a danger or trap guests. On several occasions, I've witnessed park guests having to exit the Pickering Gate due to the cattle blocking their way to the Morrison Canyon Gate, and I too have faced this. In fact, just since the closure, one of the neighbors has already witnessed a couple of people that got trapped because the cattle was blocking their way and they had to crawl from under the barbed wire. There was no way they could exit, whereas before they could have backtracked and exited from the Pickering Gate. I believe the city and the park district can address the residents' concerns without blocking access to hundreds of people. The closure of this gate puts pressure on the residents near the lower Morrison Canyon Gate. I too might be forced to drive and park near that gate in order to save a little time, and even then I will still be hiking an extra mile. We ask that the park district reopen this gate and immediately schedule a community outreach meeting to address any concerns that may have led to the closure of this gate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Melville. The next speaker is Unati Capri. I apologize if I did not pronounce your name incorrectly. Unati?
That is right. Thank you.
Good. Okay.
Hi, this is Unati, and congratulations. I again want to request Pickering entrance to be opened. I know it wasn't official, but it had been very helpful to use that entrance for quick access rather than traveling 1 extra mile, especially with my toddler. It's difficult to ask them to walk extra mile. And first of all, I would also like to know if there was any particular reason why this was closed, like our community is unaware of why exactly was it hard closed. Secondly, if there can be any official signs about the trail, the whole circle, how exactly it is to be completed, it will be helpful. I have myself helped a few strangers who tried to make a full round and they were stuck, and sometimes they exited a different entrance. So they had no idea how exactly the map is. So if there are signs at different places, those will be helpful too. That is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Capri. Our next speaker is Lawrence Edelson. Mr. Edelson?
Sorry, I apologize for that. Okay. No, I wrote in, I don't have my text in front of me. I just will say that I'm a homeowner. I live near the the lower the lower Morrison Canyon Road entrance that's just east of Canyon Heights. And I have people park near me. I have people from outside the neighborhood that park, that are using the park to enter. There's only one person who I object to, who's bald and has this big white pickup truck, but he's in the meeting, so I'll leave that alone. But no, I really don't have any problem with people parking. It's a public street. I benefit by the park. I just hope the park district does its part to encourage proper etiquette by not having people blatantly park in areas that are marked for no parking, blocking wheelchair ramps, littering, talking loudly in the morning. I don't have too much problem with that. My main concern is people don't pick up their dog poop bags, and I have to sometimes pick them up. But other than that, I want people to use the park. I do feel that another entrance, I know it comes with the same issues. You do lose some solitude, but I think we all can benefit by some forbearance. I know I drive other places and I park in front of people's homes when I use parks in other areas, and I certainly wouldn't be hypocritical in objecting to that when it's my turn to offer some hospitality. So I think the Pickering entrance needs to be opened. It's not a big impact for me, but a lot of my neighbors benefit by it, and it's just an unreasonable excess trip, and it also adds additional parking for those who want to have to drive to Morrison Canyon, an additional burden on my section of the neighborhood of people that are parking when they wouldn't normally have to. So I'll leave it at that. I appreciate you giving me the time to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Edelson. I did have your email, so I just want to acknowledge that we did receive it. And you stated it very well, very close to the email. So wonderful. Our next speaker is Don Thompson. I believe I saw you in here, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. You have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm also a neighbor in the Canyon Heights area, and the Pickering entrance, even though unofficial, has been well used by both me and many other people in the neighborhood. And as other people have mentioned, if you live north of the Pickering entrance, it adds 2 miles round trip to getting into the park. And that is pretty significant when you're trying to hike, which makes things a challenge. So I also want to encourage the board here to work with the neighborhood, both those who have had some issues apparently, and figure out a way to accommodate them and allow access for the people in the neighborhood, because the Vargas Plateau is an extremely valuable and important resource that people in the neighborhood have been taking advantage of, especially with the pandemic. And that's potentially added a little bit more burden onto the neighbors who live near the gate and have to deal with some of the increased parking and trash and whatnot. But I strongly encourage you guys to work with the neighborhood and figure out a solution so that we can all benefit from the fantastic resource that is Vargas Plateau. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Dave Rich, please, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. So I'm the neighbor that lives immediately adjacent to the entrance. And I just want to let everybody know that I support opening up this entrance. I've used it along with a lot of my fellow neighbors, actually even long before it was an East Bay Regional Park, and would like to figure out a solution to getting access. I know there are a lot of other East Bay parks that have pedestrian only entrances, and we need to figure out a way to make this available to everybody. Thanks, that's all I have.
While I was in the meeting, I received a call and I see the person is here. I couldn't answer the phone. Ms. Shahab Khatib or Mr.?
Yeah, hello.
Great, I saw you calling me, but I couldn't get it. So you have 3 minutes, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. Lately, or not lately, a couple of days ago, I was at Vargas Plateau Regional Park, and there was a ranger that came and said that, you know, we couldn't ride any
You have dropped, sir. Okay, we're going to move on. Hopefully you can come back into the meeting. Maybe you should call in again, try it again, or send me an email. Okay, I don't believe I see any other speakers in the meeting. Let me do a quick scroll. If I can have my team do a quick look and see. I see a John Roberts. Maybe that's a guess. Mr. Roberts, are you coming to speak today?
I'm not, thank you.
Okay. All right. Oh, Norm LaForce is here. I didn't see him. Norm LaForce, you have 3 minutes.
No, I'm not speaking.
Oh, you're not speaking. Okay. Looks like we're good. Okay, let me read. We did receive a couple of emails that are not related to the Vargas Plateau, President Rosario, if I may. One is related to, I'll just read it to you. It's from Claire Linder, and she says, I am contacting you today for comments. Okay, let me read them. I am a resident and taxpayer of Contra Costa County. Like so many of us, I rely on public parks for their essential role of providing opportunities for exercise, fresh air, and safe, physically separated social interactions. It was therefore with dismay and increasing irritation as the pandemic has ground on that restrooms and water fountains remain closed in many, if not most, EBRPD properties. If this is a budget cutting measure, please, A, say so explicitly, B, find funding to turn these essential public health facilities back immediately. Blaming their closure on COVID-19 is disingenuous, and keeping them closed invites unsanitary public health crisis. The public relies on and cherishes our parks. If the district needs extra funds to get these facilities open, raise taxes, raise parking fees, do whatever it takes. I won't complain, and I'll cheerfully encourage my neighbors to do likewise. We all need these parks, and we need restrooms and water. And she said, thank you for your time. And that's Claire Linder, and she lives in Concord. Another email received, which is not related to this, is about the Dumbarton Quarry. Her name is Joan Schwab. She says, I'm a 42-year resident of Fremont, and I have lived 57 years in Alameda County. What exactly is the status of the Dumbarton Quarry Campground? The project is at least 2 years behind schedule and its completion date. The only activity being conducted at this time is the continued raping of the hillsides and quarrying and reaping and exhausting of what's left of the natural resources in the area, while disrupting and destroying any endangered flora and fauna as well. The mining that's being done should never have been permitted and should be stopped immediately, as irreparable damage has already been done. Whatever agreements the past administration has had with Caltrans and the city of Fremont and others, I feel it's nefarious, or was nefarious, self-serving in nature. In closing, it is my hope that the recently appointed General Manager, Ms. Landreth, will resurrect and continue the mission of the East Bay Park District in protecting and to preserve what's left of our beautiful open space, not only here in Fremont and the county of Alameda, but throughout the great San Francisco Bay Area for future generations to come. And then we had one last email that I received from Karen Wheel. And she says, I'm writing to comment on the proposed opening of South Park Drive. I know that this road typically reopens each year in April, but this road closure has become a lifesaver for so many. It has been a wonderful escape into nature on a road that is easy to social distance on. It is a great hike for older people that have troubles maneuvering on potholed trails, for people with pets, bikers, and families with children. It would be great if Berkeley could keep it closed for another year while we still cope with this pandemic. Furthermore, since there are alternative roads for the cars, perhaps this road could be permanently closed. And that is the emails. Let me do a quick scan. Mr. Shahab, were you able to reconnect?
Oh yeah, sorry, I lagged out.
Okay, are you gonna speak?
Yeah, if I may.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, I don't know where I left off, but
Well, you should probably start from the beginning.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm talking about Vargas Plateau Regional Park. There was a ranger that said we could not ride bikes on any single track, so pretty much she said stay on the fire road. And I was just proposing, or I would like to propose that if we could legalize one piece of single track and I'd like to know how that would be done. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Shahab, if you would send me an email so we can get your contact information so somebody can respond to you, that would be great.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. President Rosario, those are all the public comments. You are on mute, sir.
How's that?
There we go.
Thank you. Hopefully we've got everyone's contact information, and everyone will get a response to their concerns.
Yes.
Excellent. And so now we have the Director Waspy.
Yeah, if I may, you know, I think there's a lot of legitimate questions were asked today, and I think access to parks is becoming more and more, you know, with 30% more increase in park visitors due to COVID, the popularity of parks. I think closing off entrances is, if it's needed, I'm all for it, but I think we need more access as opposed to less access. In my case, this is the second report I've had from a different park. Someone from Cold Canyon is suggesting we close off an access because there's more people. I worry about this. I think we need to really get together and talk about it as a board and as a staff and as a district. I think these issues are going to keep coming up. And I just think we need to really get a hold of it and figure out what we're really all about. So I hope we can direct this to staff and talk about it.
Yeah, Director Relaine.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can have a brief explanation of why it was closed.
Want to hear?
I see AGM Connor.
You see a volunteer?
Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board. Jim O'Connor, your AGM of Operations. In response to Director Lane's comments, I think most of you know that the official entrance for this lower portion of Vargas is adjacent to Morrison Canyon Road. This is clearly identified in the land use plan. The entrance at Pickering is not an official entrance, and staffs responded to reinforce the fencing at Pickering in response to neighbor comments. We can also have a conversation about that, but that is the direction from the land use plan, and Morrison Canyon is the official entrance. But obviously, we'll take another look at that and report back to the board.
Great, thank you. Director Wieskamp.
It seems appropriate that I know this spring we'll be having a meeting of the Fremont Park District Liaison Committee, and that could be an issue to talk about. And the one individual who was concerned about what's going on at Dumbarton Quarry, I don't think she understands we're turning a negative into a positive. So I would like something to be sent to her so she is going to have an opportunity. All of us are going to have an opportunity to see it open soon, I have been assured, and that it will be a valuable addition for their area. So keep watching, but let's try to keep her informed if we can get her address.
Yes, Director Wieskamp, we'll take care of that one.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, Director Wieskamp, also, I did send that email to, I believe I sent it to Jim O'Connor's group, somebody in
Oh,
Jim.
great.
Okay.
Hey, we've got him covered, right?
Yes, we have it covered.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we could be we're going to be our new general manager is going to have the fastest turnaround to a request ever. So with that, see no further comments. We are now in our item D, special update, and welcome to our new general manager, Sabrina Landreth.
Great. Thank you again, President Rosario and members of the board. I will be very brief and then hand it over to AGM O'Connor, who will walk you through some more specifics. But as I think you all know, we recently, both counties moved into the red tier. which is good news based off of both our numbers and the overall state numbers. Other things to update you on include on our interim general manager, Carol Victor, your general counsel, last week was able to, under the state rules, designate some of our employees as emergency services employees. And under the state rules, it actually allows them to go ahead and register and receive their vaccines if they so choose. So that was fabulous news. And she went ahead and did that before I walked in the door. So I wanted to make sure that she receives the credit. And we're continuing to work with our employees to communicate that to them and try to help facilitate those that do choose to go ahead and get their vaccine. But I wanted to go ahead and turn it over to our AGM, O'Connor, who can walk you through some more on our reopening plan related to now being in the red tier.
Thank you, GM Landreth. Once again, Jim O'Connor, your AGM of operations, and I have a quick update for all of you. As the GM said, we've moved, both counties have moved into the red tier. I'm going to share my screen quickly with all of you. Hopefully this will work. And okay, can all of you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let me pull up my view here. So very quickly, these, I think all of you are aware at this point, is district staff are working on a very large comprehensive plan that's based on the state's 4 tiers of reopening plan. And so since both counties are in red, under the red tier, I just want to share some news about what's happening in terms of facilities and programs and services that are reoperating under red tier. And I think all of you can see this. Hopefully I've made this large enough. I tried to get it large enough for all of us to see that. Camping, in relation to camping, most of the camping resumed on the 11th of February, but we are going to open additional backpack sites. As you know, a lot of the backpack sites in the Sunol and Ohlone Wilderness were affected by the fires last summer, the SU complex fires, but we're going to have 3 more of those opened up on March 26th. And the reservations will start on March 22nd for those campsites. So that's an expansion of our backcountry camping. Visitor centers, I think the great news that many of you have been waiting for, visitor centers will now reopen as of April 1st. Most of them on April 1st. As you know, this is all tied to us having appropriate staffing, because those are going to be limited to 25% of capacity. Therefore, we have to do a check-in and do building entry procedures at the entrance of the visitor center. So that'll require some staffing, but most of them hopefully will start on or around April 1st and mostly on weekends due to limited staffing. Indoor dining at our golf courses can reopen at 25% of capacity as long as they're in compliance with the county public health directives, and our business services staff review their plans before they do reoperate. Concessions that are reopening, the Golden Gate Live steamers at Tilden, the Ardenwood train, the SPCRR will reopen as an interpretive function only, no rides at this time. And then at Miller Knox, the Golden State Model Railroad Museum can open at 25% capacity with building entry protocols. And the dates, we're still working on those dates, but we are in contact with those concession operators and we can report at a later date. Religious and cultural ceremonies on a case-by-case basis, outdoors only, starting April 1st. These are concession facilities. At our own reservable facilities, we will restart outdoor reservations on May 1st. Day camps, which a lot of parents are going to be happy to hear, are restarting in July on July 19th. Outdoor recreation program, much of that will restart on May 1st. And those are limited under the state rules to 2 family groupings because our staff represent 1 family grouping. So that meets the 3 family grouping rule. Then moving on here, interpretive programs, we're going to restart those under the same rules May 1st. We're still moving forward with all of our digital programming and some roving programs are occurring out of visitor centers. Camp Arroyo, new rules that the state has just put out regarding overnight camps. We're still working through those and they're still finalizing those rules, but we are in contact with United Camps and Conferences and Retreats, our operator at Camp Arroyo, and maybe we can restart some overnight camps this summer, working with them. Outdoor swim facilities, as you all know, will restart Memorial Day weekend, and staff are working diligently to affect that opening. And then I guess the real news here is that the Volunteer Trail Safety Patrol will restart on April 2nd. And I know all of you have been waiting for that one, and that'll be a great help for park staff out there. So really quickly, that was my very quick update on the red tier reopenings, and I'm here to answer any questions the board may have.
Great. Okay, good. Any questions from the board?
Oh, good.
Director Lane?
No, just congratulations on the Volunteer Safety Patrol, everybody. We need them out there. Thanks.
Yeah, it's great to see we're getting closer and closer to normal. Let's hope there's no, let's hope it keeps going in that direction. Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of work to prepare and to plan for all these, and I appreciate all the efforts you and your staff and have put together in getting this plan together and being able to respond on a dime. Thank you.
Thank you, President Nazarian.
Okay, now we are to item E, business before the board. We have the consent calendar. Madam Secretary, Madam Clerk, are there any questions that have gone unanswered?
Well, no, President Rosario, I didn't receive any questions for the consent calendar from any of you.
Wow.
Oh,
Fabulous. Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
wait a minute. I thought I sent mine.
Said it too fast. Director Wieskamp, why you didn't stop me?
Okay, let's say, I thought I sent my questions, but I guess you didn't.
I didn't receive any questions from you.
Oh.
I believe her. I believe her.
Okay, well, I have a couple. Well, let's first, I'll go through the other, who has questions?
Director Waspy had his finger up.
Director Waspy?
There we go.
Yes, thank you. I have my biannual question on item N and a comment on item O.
Okay. Director Lane?
Yeah, I asked for a short report on Q, which is the Lake Anza ADA project.
Okay.
Oh, you did.
Any other members? And I have a quick question on E. And then just a comment on F. And that was it. So let's go I guess we'll go alphabetically. On item E, I just wanted to say that I support resolution to support AB 72, which is the Coastal Adaptation Permitting Act. And actually the question here is, this outlines basically cutting the green tape along the coast. I just wanted to ask, is there, or have we been able to find a sponsor for the upland part? I know we've been lobbying heavily with our local electeds to cut the green tape for the upland sections as well.
Yeah, yeah, we actually just had a conversation about that. Director Rosario, Eric Fiedler, Chief of Government and Legislative Affairs. We just had a conversation about that with Eduardo Garcia's staff this morning about cutting the green tape, particularly with regard to the tree mortality issue. So I think they will try to put that into the climate bond package. And we also have another conversation with some resources staff, I believe it's actually later today, to discuss other options for sponsors.
Great, thank you very much. I know that's that means a lot for not only just us, but all the other agencies in California too. Thank you. And then on Measure F, I just wanted to say that Measure F is the resolution to support AB 39, which is the pollinator habitat grants. I think if this goes forward, I think the Park District could benefit directly. And as far as I know, we're working on a resolution with CalPERG for Save the Bees and course, the efforts to save the monarch butterfly. I think we should be doing district-wide programs for both, and we could take advantage of some of these funds to do that. So that was just a comment. And then Director Waspy, item N.
Yeah, item N, thank you. Item N is the authorization to amend the 2020 budget and appropriate funds for the costs related to the November 3rd election. And I want to compliment all of the, congratulate all of the members that were reelected. But I have my biannual question, and that is, and I guess first off to clarify, when we pay Alameda County $335,000 for an election and Contra Costa $140,000, are we in Director Eccles's ward? Is maybe you can answer that? Is it equally? Is the ratio of how much we pay to Contra Costa and Alameda County the same as the ratio of voters? Does anybody know that?
Director Waspy, Deborah Auker, AGM of Finance and Management Services. I will attempt to answer that. The registrars do break down the total costs by registered voter, and they parse it out by the different agencies that have items on the ballot and charge it in that manner, in a way that they divide it up under all that are utilizing that actual election. Does that answer your question?
Oh, did he freeze?
Is he frozen?
Maybe frozen. I'll follow up with Director Waspy and make sure I've answered his question.
I'm very sorry. I just got aced out of the whole meeting. Forget it. I'll talk to you offline, but thank you for the answer. I guess that came that I didn't hear. I'll ask. Thanks.
I know there was a very robust presentation at the Alameda County Mayor's Conference early in the year. And that was actually I think it was at Alameda County Special Districts.
It was
And,
special districts.
yeah, it was a very robust discussion of
That's excellent.
the entire process of what they have to go through and justification for the cost. So maybe we can get that presentation for you. And then Director Waspy, you also had item O.
Yeah, and that was concerning the approval of accounting adjustments to reflect the disposal of 2 fixed assets at a book value over $25,000. And this is concerning how every year we have fixed assets that we don't need anymore, or their use has been fully done by us. And so we auction it out, and having taken advantage of the auction, I wanted to compliment staff, especially I guess it was fire staff. If you notice in your report, we donated a fire engine, a Type 3 fire engine that for us, it's been here since 1997. Having worked with rural fire departments like the Mendocino Fire Department that took this asset from us, or accepted the donation very thankfully. A 24-year-old truck is not that old. They were very thankful to get it. I think it's an excellent use of our resources, and also the helicopter, getting $535,000 for our helicopter that we had continued or had all the use we could get out of it, but somebody else could use that. So I'm very, very happy we're doing that. I love, as you know, the recycling concept. And I also noticed that in this, some of the other items we had that couldn't be sold were recycled, and just the fact that we're selling all these old trucks, people will use them and reuse them. And I think that's an excellent thing. And I'm very proud of staff for doing that.
I just have a follow-up question on that item. I noticed in the spreadsheet in the sold for column, there is no total.
I will get you a total, Director.
Yeah,
great.
I'm not sure. Finance always totals their spreadsheets, so we must have had a printing problem. I'm teasing.
Great.
I'll get you a total.
Yeah, I was looking for a total and I didn't see one, but
Okay.
that'd be great. We could amend that. So that's the only thing I saw there. And then Director Lane had measure or item Q.
Yes.
Yes, item Q. I am really pleased to see this project get going because, of course, Lake Anza is extremely popular lake, and this will allow people who are in wheelchairs and otherwise need a clear path to get to the lake to get there. And I know we spend $500,000 a year to upgrade our whole access. And I see that we used a good chunk of that on this project. So I wonder if AGM O'Connor might like to just say a word about the extent of this project and what it will offer to our visitors.
Sure, Director Lane. Once again, Jim O'Connor, AGM of Operations. We've also got the project manager, Jeff Rasmussen, is here also, and he can probably answer some of the details about the project. But essentially, over the last 8 years or so, MassStaff has done a great deal of ADA access upgrades to the swim facility itself in terms of the restrooms, the entrance grade, et cetera. This current project is now kind of the final step in where we create an ADA accessible access from the parking lot out to the swim facility. And we're also adding in an additional ADA parking site in the parking lot. So that'll expand ADA parking and also provide that what we call a path of travel from the parking lot to the facility. So I think with this final project, we will essentially complete the ADA access requirements at this facility. As far as I know, I'll check into that, but I believe that this is the final step into improving ADA access at this facility. Also, your reference, Director Lane, to what we call the ADA transition plan, which has been 20 years in the making. 20 years ago, just for the board and some of the audience listening, 20 years ago, the Park District did an evaluation of all of our facilities in terms of ADA access. Out of that evaluation came a master plan, which categorized and prioritized projects based on their need and their barriers to access. And so we've been working through that, spending about $500,000 per year for the last 20 years. And that money is between operations and our design and construction group and others to both design projects and then implement projects to provide additional access for folks with physical disabilities.
Thank you.
You bet.
Excellent. Were there any other questions from the board? Seeing none, a motion is called for.
So moved.
Moved by Director Corbett. Is there a second? Director Eccles. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can you take a roll call vote?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Lane?
Aye. Aye.
Director Wieskamp?
Aye.
Director Eccles?
Aye.
Director Coffey?
Aye.
Director Wasfy?
Aye.
Director Corbett?
Aye.
President Rosario?
Aye.
We have a
Unanimous.
unanimous approval of the agenda.
Excellent.
Mhm.
That brings us to item number 2 and Acquisition, Stewardship, and Development Division.
And Director, I'm sorry, President Rosario, Director Lane did have a question on this that was answered. Did you see that, Director Lane? Yes. Okay.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item A. That would be Michael Reeves.
He's here.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board, and welcome General Manager Landreth. I'm going to take a moment here to switch screens and share a screen. we'll get the presentation going on the Iron Horse Trail license renewal. And everybody can see the screen.
Yes.
Excellent. So the Iron Horse Regional Trail was established along the former Southern Pacific Railroad right-of-way that runs through Contra Costa County south through Alameda County, through our two counties. And beginning in 1986, the Park District began a program of developing that former railway right-of-way into a regional trail connector that began again in 1986 in Contra Costa County. Today it extends 34 miles between Concord in the north down to the Livermore area, connecting 9 communities. And the Contra Costa County segment that is the subject of today's action is extends over 25 miles from Marsh Drive in Concord to the Contra Costa Alameda County line. And we're going to first review the background on the segment of the Iron Horse Trail that is the subject of the new master license agreement. And this pertains to the 17-mile segment that runs from Pleasant Hill down to the Contra Costa Alameda County line. And this folds together prior license agreements that we have had with the county, with county flood control, and with the county's former redevelopment agency. And much of this 17-mile stretch follows the former rail line, but in a few places the trail veers off to travel along creek corridors that are owned by county flood control. So again, the original agreement with Contra Costa County that launched the development of the Iron Horse Trail was in 1986. It was for an approximately 3-mile segment of the trail connecting Alamo and Danville. And then this agreement has been amended 6 times over the years. And we're going to just kind of do a quick travel through to see the additional segments that were added and developed as part of building out this regional trail. 1988, 1999, we extend all the way to the county boundary and then north up to the Walnut Creek area. There are a few amendments along the way that didn't affect the extension of the trail, but had other aspects to it. The final amendment in 2009 added provision to develop 2 staging areas. That's the Rudgear Road staging area in Walnut Creek and the Stone Valley Road staging area in Alamo. Also beginning in 1990, the Park District entered into a license agreement with the county redevelopment agency. And that was to develop sections of the trail across lands that were owned by the redevelopment agency along the former railway corridor. So that agreement was amended, looks like 5 times over the years to add additional segments as we continue to develop that trail. In this case, within the Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill area. In 2013, the redevelopment agencies throughout the state were dissolved. And in 2019, the properties owned by the RDA in Contra Costa County were transferred to the county. And now that's no longer a party to the master license agreement. We're going to switch now to the separate license agreement that we have with county flood control. This pertains to the northern approximately 4 miles of Iron Horse Trail from Monument Boulevard in Pleasant Hill north to Marsh Drive in Concord. This was originally entered into in 1995. It's still in effect, and it was extended once or amended once in 1996 for that additional extension you see there from Concord Avenue to Marsh Drive. And that is today the northernmost terminus of the Iron Horse Trail. So again, this license agreement is still in effect, and there is an option in that agreement whereby we can extend the original 25-year term for an additional 25-year period. I'm going to turn to some photos here we're going to take a quick journey along the Iron Horse Trail, starting at the Contra Costa Alameda County border. So this is a wayside that was developed by the city of San Ramon. I believe the change in the curb cut you see right here, I'll call it a curb cut, but I think that is the county boundary actually. And so we're just inside of Contra Costa County, looking in the foreground there, and just inside of the city of San Ramon. And you'll see here the first of many bridges that allow the stitch together this regional trail corridor. This is one of our bridges over San Ramon Creek. Now we've traveled up to Walnut Creek, and this is the Rudgear Road staging area. This was developed as an amendment to one of the amendments to our license agreement with the county. This is another staging area developed pursuant to an amendment to that license agreement. This is Stone Valley Road at Alamo. And now we're up to Monument Boulevard in Pleasant Hill. And this is both the terminus of what will be the 17-mile stretch that's covered under the new master license agreement, and the beginning of the roughly 4-mile stretch that is subject to the existing trail license agreement with county flood control that we are going to again exercise our option to extend for additional 25 years. Continuing north, this is another bridge over Walnut Creek. This one is at Concord Avenue. And you can see that the creek, as you get north of Pleasant Hill, it broadens into a flood control channel that's quite wide, and that's a particularly long bridge that we installed there at that location. Now further north, we're looking to the east, to the south and east, Mount Diablo in the background. This bridge is located where the Iron Horse Trail intersects a very short segment of the Delta de Anza Trail that will eventually stitch together and go east as far as the city of Oakley. This is just a short distance shy of Marsh Drive. And this photo tour has been replete with a lot of bridge images, and there's a point to this. This is not a bridge of the Iron Horse Trail, but this is a bridge over Walnut Creek, and this is a Marsh Drive bridge. So this bridge is slated for replacement, and estimated construction will start in 2021. I just want to call this to the board's attention because this is an opportunity that will be playing out in the next few years to further extend the Iron Horse Trail north of its current terminus at Marsh Drive. And the first step of that will be the replacement of this road bridge, which will include provision for a pedestrian separated pedestrian path to cross Walnut Creek and get us to the other side, the west side of Walnut Creek. And then here's an image looking north from the standing on the Marsh Drive bridge And you can see the levee top road on the west side of the Walnut Creek levee, and that's going north. So this would be the proposed route, at least the start of the proposed route, commencing from Marsh Drive and going northerly, eventually stitching together to connect with our Waterbird Regional Preserve, and then on to Benicia, and I should say Sassoon Bay and the Benicia Bridge. So today, the staff is requesting the board authorization to do two things. The first is to enter into the Master Trail License Agreement with Contra Costa County and County Flood Control. This would be for the continued operation of the 17-mile segment shown in green on this map of the Iron Horse Trail from Pleasant Hill to the Contra Costa Alameda County line. And the second item is authorization to execute a letter agreement with Just Fit County Flood Control that will extend the term of our existing trail easement agreement or trail license agreement with County Flood Control for that 4-mile segment that's shown in blue on this map for additional 25 years. I should mention also that the new master license agreement will be a 25-year term. It also will have an option to extend for an additional 25 years. Just a few concluding remarks I'd like to make is that this has been actually many years in the making with staff changes at the county over the 3 or 4 years that this has been in discussion, and we've been operating off of short-term extensions to the various license agreements while this has been negotiated. And I want to give a tremendous amount of thanks to Linda Wu of my staff, who is for staying the course to get us to this point, and also operations staff that were at the table all along the way to go through the various details of the new master license. The terms of the new license are essentially the same as the previous separate licenses, but there was a lot of wordsmithing involved nonetheless, and in part because we're working off of 25-year license agreements, and these are old documents or old contracts, and there was an impetus to try to modernize these agreements going forward as these really kind of dated contracts, these dated license agreements come up for renewal. So again, it took several years to get us to this point. And again, kudos from my staff in getting us there. And then just one last thing I want to correct for the record. There is a typo in the staff report. It's under the first paragraph, the recommendation paragraph. And it mentions that fifth line down, this is a 17-mile segment of the Iron Horse Regional Trail within Alameda County. That, of course, should say within Contra Costa County. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and I will gladly answer questions from the board.
Excellent, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Now's your time. Director Coffey.
Michael, this might be a question for Sean, but I'm wondering if you know what type of property interest will have to be acquired to extend the Iron Horse down the western side of Walnut Creek, as you just illustrated.
Director Coffey, excellent question. And we're, at this point, I'm cognizant as the land department is the one to go after these property interests and stitch together the right of way that we need. I'm just cognizant at this point of this program to replace the Marsh Drive Bridge. I've seen maps and from our trails folks, and a goodly portion of that would presumably run within County Flood Control's floodway right of way there, and that's that levee top road that you see extending northerly. But at some point, we're going to have to start kind of zigzagging over to the north and west to connect up to Waterbird Preserve, and that's still be the subject of exploration into what all the rights of way might be needed to accomplish that.
Thank you.
Director Lane.
Thank you very much for this presentation. And it's interesting to see the extent of the trail and notice that that north end is again one of these really expensive additions to make this trail work and get all the way up to the Benicia Bridge. We're going to need to go over a railroad track, and there have been some really terrific partnerships with Contra Costa Flood Control as this planning is going forward for that. It's in Director Coffey's ward, and I know he's watching it very closely. I bring it up from time to time, and hopefully we're progressing on it. Before Coffey, Ted Radke used to bring it up and have people walk on it, and so it's been a long time. As you can see, the Iron Horse Trail started with improvements in 1986, and we're still not to the northern destination. But I'm very happy to see the license agreement and the letter be advanced.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Great. Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Okay, I'll move that we authorize the license agreement and sign a separate letter of agreement on the Iron Horse Trail as indicated in the staff report.
Good.
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion by Director Lane and a second by Director Coffey. Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Corbett?
Aye.
Director Lane?
Aye.
Director Wieskamp?
Aye.
Director Waspy?
Aye.
Dr. Coffey?
Aye.
Dr. Eccles?
Aye.
And President Rosario.
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous approval of item 2A.
Thank you.
Very much. Great presentation. And congratulations. And then now we have item number 3, board and staff reports. First, let me ask my board members, how are we doing? Anybody need a break? Let's go forward then. Excellent.
Okay, we're
Item
moving
number
along.
3, board and staff reports. Actions taken by other jurisdictions affecting the Park District.
So President Rosario, I'm going to handle this matter on behalf of the General Manager today. And just to let the board know, Brian Holt, Chief of Planning, is available if the board has any questions that I can't answer. And I forgot to identify myself, Carol Victor, District Council. Excuse me. So on February 23rd, the Richmond City Council authorized staff to execute an agreement with the Greater Richmond Interfaith Program to operate a 1-year pilot safe parking program on a city-owned site at Bissell Avenue and 22nd Street. And this is a program for the unsheltered community that is living in vehicles where they could be provided services and have a safe and secure location. The city selected this site, and then there had been some neighborhood concerns. So our understanding is the city's not going to move forward with this site and is still looking for a suitable location for their Safe Street program. The other item on the actions taken by other jurisdictions affecting the Park District is that the Alameda County Board of Supervisors approved their Aramis project. It's a solar energy and generation storage project. And it is located out at 4400 North Livermore Avenue near Livermore. This is a solar project that with a maximum energy output of 100 megawatts over a 410 acre site. The project will dedicate a easement for a public hiking trail to be managed by the Livermore Area Recreation Park District or East Bay Regional Park District.
Director Wieskamp.
I and a lot of my constituents in this area have a lot of problems with this Aramis solar project moving forward. I don't know how many of you have been following it, but the question came up about such large facilities back in 2011, I believe, and they were supposed to develop a solar policy in the county, and that did not happen. There is an excellent article in the Independent from the 11th, which I recommend that we get and share with everyone. But I know Brian Holt sent a letter to the county about this project and the deficiencies as far as the Park District is concerned. And right at this time, LAVCO, part of our work plan this year is looking at agriculture and open space in this area, both north and south Livermore. And so certainly there's a lot of concern with the potential for agricultural and open space being misused. I myself, certainly, if I were on the Board of Supervisors, would prefer to have a policy in place before I made approval of a project of this size. So I think we ought to follow it. And I know Brian, if he'd care to say anything more about it, is fine. I know he and his staff looked at it. Everything from protecting the view shed from our parks to, we felt that also there was not enough time spent on looking at biological resources and that more needed to be done. But I'll say if Brian is here and has anything more to say, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Wieskamp. I think you said it well. Brian Holt, Chief of Planning, Trails and GIS. I will just share a map just for everybody's benefit so we can see where it is at. Pop that up there. So you can see the project question is in red. This is the Aramis project. This is in addition to another project that's in yellow, the Sunwalker project. And you can sort of see in dark green just some of our open space properties that are in the area. And if you can make out the dashed purple line, that's the potential trail alignment that we've identified through there. Like I said, I think Director Wieskamp summarized it well, but there's long been discussion of developing a solar policy for the county that would basically evaluate appropriate sites for solar, zone those sites for solar. That was a process that was initiated a number of years ago, but was never completed. And then now we're seeing these individual projects move forward. So the concern has just been the aesthetic impacts, potential biologic impacts, and how they're monitoring for any avian or bat mortality, and then just the piecemeal nature of these large utility scale projects moving forward, absent a larger policy for the county. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm sure there are going to be some lawsuits brought by various parties. They've already said there will be, but I just think we ought to follow up with it with our concerns again as it moves forward and what they need to do for us to be assured that there are not going to be problems for the Park District.
And if I could just offer just another interesting tidbit, but Contra Costa County did recently adopt a solar policy for East Contra Costa County. But then we've also just recently, as recent as this week, have met with potential project developers who are proposing large utility scale solar projects outside of that solar zone. So it's just obviously we support green energy, but they're adjacent to our parklands, and just it's ongoing, continue to monitor these things to make sure that our concerns are being addressed.
I'm certainly not anti-solar. I've had it on my roof since 2011. And certainly the Park District developed a wonderful one that takes care of a lot of our energy use at Shadow Cliffs. So I think however you choose to do it, you ought to think about concerns for everybody that's impacted, and that includes all of our users of the Park District. So I just call that to your attention. Thank you. And thank you, Brian.
Excuse me, Director Lane.
Well, so this is not inside my ward, but it's an area that I drive through from area of I-680, if you want to get over to Vasco Caves or to Vasco Road, this is the back way you go. And I have never seen the agricultural community as organized as they were on this, because all of a sudden there are enormous signs in opposition to the solar project. And I really appreciate seeing the map, because 410 acres of solar panels over land which was once productive in at least probably grazing. Is that right, Anne? Probably.
The quality of the land varies from spot to spot, but that's part of our study that we're doing at LAVCO.
Yeah, that is just an enormous impact on the land. And, you know, we can talk about it visually from our parks, but you see these panels over parking lots and they have their function there. But I mean, this is as big as Sycamore Valley Open Space Regional Park. And I think it's a very negative direction for people to be going with solar panels. It gobbles up the land in a way that's quite destructive, in my opinion. So thank you for paying attention to it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I agree. I think a lot. I think some of the initial solar farms that were put in Southern California, they haven't been managed very well, and they're falling apart. And I think building over existing infrastructure like parking lots is a much more viable use of the land versus taking up open space. So yeah, keep your eyes open. Thank you very much. And then I was a question for Carol on the city of Richmond's search for their homeless. Is there you mentioned there's 2 Park District sites that they're looking at? Do we know what those sites are?
Yes, Director Rosario, I think they were identified, but I'm not sure that there was serious consideration, but I am going to ask Brian to comment as to what those sites were.
Yeah, there was sorry, Brian Holt, Chief of Planning, Trails and GIS. There was a long list of sites that were suggested by individual council members. 2 sites were on Park District properties. One was the parking lot at Point Pinole, and the other one was a bit of open space property just directly south of the parking lot at Point Pinole. And both of those sites were suggested for evaluation by Council Member Bates. I'll just say neither of those sites I think went very far in the evaluation, because obviously they were owned by the Park District, so didn't necessarily have control over the sites.
Yeah,
they were included in the list.
Plus, there's no utilities out there outside of the jail. Okay. Seeing no other questions or comments, we'll move on to item number 4, General Manager's comments, and we have a staff presentation.
Yeah, thank you, President Rosario, and members of the board again. Sabrina Landreth, General Manager. I'll just note we have 2 items here. One is in your packet, you have the interpretive and recreation staff report of the programs and outreach from the last reporting period. And I know that AGM O'Connor is there if you have any questions on that. And then we also have a presentation from AGM of Public Affairs, Carol Johnson, who will go ahead and give a presentation on the communication plan for 2021.
Thank you so much, President Rosario and members of the board, and welcome to your first board meeting, GM Landreth. Let me cue this up and share my screen. Okay, so I'm always pleased to come around this time of the year to give you an overview of what we are working on in public affairs. And I wanted to start this year with a little background, just so everybody can be reminded of the diversity of the role that public affairs plays in educating and informing on issues and events and preserving and enhancing our reputation, connecting to our multicultural and disadvantaged communities with Regional Parks resources, fundraising from the Regional Parks Foundation to benefit EBRPD, helping the visitors navigate parks through clear signage, maps, and brochures, teaching visitors about our natural and cultural resources through exhibits, interpretive panels, and preserving our historical documents to share today and with future generations through our history program. So we have 7 strategic initiatives that we will be working on this year in 2021. And I have a little more detail on each of them. The first is focused communication, messaging, and education, strategic community engagement, multicultural outreach, dedications and events, website refresh, an exhibit completion and signage, which we're very excited about, and fulfillment of some of our archive assessment needs. So we'll start with our focused communications. We have 4 areas that we're going to be focusing on this year, in addition to the reactive types of communications that comes our way quite frequently. But the first would be COVID, continuing our enhancement of education about that and the safety within parks, fire preparedness and a new element to it of tree mortality, safe trail use. There are several areas within safe trail use that really dictate some very specific messaging, including dog owner focus, grazing animal safety with cattle specifically, and user conflicts, and ultimately with user trail etiquette. And then finally, our 4th will be on endangered species protection, specifically with respect to feral cats in our parks. So here's a little bit more detail on some of the opportunities that we will be taking advantage of in terms of our messaging. With COVID, we'll be continuing with our updated park signage and social media campaigns. And park staff has been sharing with us that the mask wearing public visitation is actually improving within the parks. Safe and responsible trail use includes the promotion of our etiquette and our rules, enhanced park signage, hopefully to lessen any conflicts, and updated brochures and some videos and social media. Our endangered species protection is something that is ongoing, but specifically this year, we're going to be engaging more with the animal shelters within Cocoa and Contra Costa and Alameda counties, and developing with them educational material regarding cat impacts to our species protections. And the Regional Parks Foundation will be funding and supporting the education through through the municipal shelters through some grant funding. With regard to fire preparedness, this is something that we do annually, as you know, which includes communicating directly with our fence line neighbors, talking about all the issues and opportunities that we are taking advantage of in terms of mitigating our fire impacts. This year, speaking more about climate change as it relates to the tree mortality issue. And of course, I'm hoping we don't have more wind and smoke events as we did last year, but those were significant and last year and required quite a bit of communication. So we have that under our fire preparedness. Moving forward with regard to our second initiative for the year will be strategic public engagement. And part of this is in a direct relationship with our government affairs staff, who's done a great job in the overall direction of what we're working together on, which is facilitating community discussions to diverse participants. And you have received, I think, an update from the staff of government affairs on this. The whole premise of this was to take advantage of furthering the discussion on recent surveys that we've done and really bringing people to the table that have not traditionally had a voice or used their voice with the Park District. So there's been some listening sessions that have and are continuing to occur. With that, the other role for this particular program is to make sure that all divisions within the organization, regardless of what they do within the community to engage, that it's all consistent and it's all within a protocol that the Park District is well represented appropriately. A third component of this is to create some toolkits that the park supervisors can use to understand the demographics of their own communities, as well as some of our partners from the district that they should know about. And the fourth one, which I'm really excited about, is that we will be working together with UCSF, as well as the Bay Area Council, on some health equity studies, specifically in reference to mental health wellness and the use of nature. So we're really excited about moving forward with those. Our multicultural outreach is obviously ongoing, and you all know Mona Ko. She is our leader on this, and she's done a terrific job, even despite having to do a lot of things virtually these days. But she has been out and about virtually in extending and deepening the relationships with the diverse audiences that she's involved with. But we would like to see more education and diverse audience representation in Contra Costa County. We in multicultural outreach also include the Regional Parks Foundation in this, because we are such a strong supplier of funding to the Park District for park access to multicultural audiences specifically. And this last year, as you know, we initiated the free membership program to underrepresented families. We expect to not only continue, but to expand that program through corporate participation in this year and years to come. We'd like to work with the Park District in clearly defining demographics of those communities served, specifically a request from the Regional Parks Foundation board. There's, for the first time ever, some new exhibits going on that are bilingual in nature, this time at Del Val and Sunol Visitor Centers. Very exciting to see some of that work coming to fruition. And then we will be reviewing multilingual messaging with key leaders, specifically the multicultural committee that we have together, to help us identify where we need more support to those multicultural communities in terms of signage, brochures, flyers, media, website, things of that sort in multiple languages. And of course, the goal here is to try to do our best with using more universally accessible communication symbols and wording. Continuing, and this was a request I believe that Director Eccles asked about recently, is the foundation was unable last year due to COVID to look at and work together with the family of Whitney Dotson to create his memorial fund that will be held within the Regional Parks Foundation. So we are now on track to do that and to work with the family and the district on what the focused use of those kind of funds will be. Our UN Peace Pole project at Lake Chabot is something that we're anxious to see come to fruition. And I know Director Waspy has been communicating at every UN event that we have in September, specific to that peace pole. And then some healthcare focused community relations include, again, some really outstanding work virtually, as much as we'd like to have it in the parks. Right now, we just can't. Due to COVID, we can't have groups of the size that our multicultural wellness walks bring to the park. So we're doing virtual fitness programs and wellness with medical community, and working with more health facilities in their nature programs bringing more health and wellness discussions about nature's influence to these organizations and public health teams. And then continuing our Parks RX, which has been very successful and continues to this day from the Binnenhof Children's Hospital, Oakland. We still have a great number of people that come monthly or had been coming monthly. I think we had to put it on hiatus for chronic illness and behavioral health needs, but hopefully we can start that up again if we continue to get lower in our red and orange zones for COVID. Our signature events, I know you're all excited about this, and I don't have any specific dates, but for the most part, this is what we're looking at for this year. Assuming that Black Diamond Mine does open on April 1st, which I believe it will. That's what we just heard from our Assistant General Manager of Operations. Black Diamond Coal Mine exhibit will finally be celebrated, as though it had just been installed recently. It was installed last year, but nobody has seen it from the public. Moving forward, hoping that we can get Del Val Visitor Center celebrated before the summer season starts. I understand that project is in its very final stages. In the summer, again, not knowing specific dates and timelines yet, is Lone Tree Point on the Bay Trail, a celebration that I'm sure that Director Coffey will be anxious to participate in, as well as Lafayette Moraga Trail is having its 45th anniversary this year. And we want to do something for the communities that often use that very popular trail. If there is a 4th of July parade, or I should say, whether or not there is a virtual or a live parade, perhaps the directors Lane and Corbett might want to participate in those, as they typically do. In August, and again, this is a big question mark for Director Wieskamp, but we're hoping that we can get Dumbarton Quarry Campground celebrated before we start accepting permits to participate in camping there. And then we come around to September with the UN International Day of Peace at Lake Chabot. And then an 80th anniversary celebration of the Brazil Room, which we will try to do in September. And sometime perhaps in the fall, Brickyard at Middle McLaughlin East Shore. So those are some of the big signature events we have on record for this year. Here's some additional wellness events, which I will send you all of this information. From May on, we have not booked out the dates, but what we've been doing is having 2 events per week virtually, and the audience participation level has grown with every activity, and includes, as you can see here, some of what goes on from discussions from a medical provider and or a practitioner in health and wellness. And then we have planned for the rest of the year as well. So our website. So we received notice late last year from our current website content manager provider that they are going to sunset their content management system, which means that we would not be having a website served by this particular provider come the end of this year. So my team has scurried together and is working on transitioning our website content management plan to a new provider. Soon, hopefully with the next board meeting, the board will be receiving some material relevant to a new provider. We're going through the RFQ process right now. But the goal is not just to take the advantage of creating a new content management system because we have to. It's looking at the website, how we can be better, how we can have new ways of laying out the information, make it more user-friendly, more inclusive and accessible, as well as having some more advanced search set functions to make it easier, and then having more interactive maps, which is the #1 thing people go to the website to find, to make it much more understandable and engaging for the audience. And we have about 2 million unique visitors annually that's coming to the website. So it is our #1 communication tool that we use. Regarding exhibits, here's a little bit of a look, a sneak peek of Sunol and of Del Val. Del Val and Sunol, as I mentioned, will be the first multilingual visitor center, and we're really excited about that. You can actually see a little bit of a picture of one of the installations at Del Val. So those two should be coming online and opening to the public relatively soon. And the Shadow Cliffs Interpretive Pavilion is in a transition with respect to its developer construction contracts. And I don't have a time estimate as to when that will be completed, but we're hoping soon. I want to remind everybody that these 3 projects are funded in part by the Regional Parks Foundation with a grant of $1 million from the Valley Foundation, and we're really excited to be able to support that. Some signage changes and upgrades is upgrading some of our information panels so that they are more welcoming and that they have more educational and informational messaging. Some new map templates for our brochures and maps. We have 30 new brochures in review right now for them being recreated and updated. And then we have some very big signage programs, of which include Dumbarton Quarry Campground. Our team, my team, has developed every sign that's going to go in that park, and that was not an easy undertaking. And the installation of those should be taking place very soon. And then finally, we really need to work closely to continue our city and highway signage signs for new parks. And we definitely need to do more work within our communities with the city permitting process to get more directionals to our parks within the city streets. And the district-wide archives and history program, something new, well, not new that we have undertaken, but new because we have an actual position that is focused entirely on this now, with Brenda Montano being the archive supervisor. So late last year with the Natural Cultural Resources, they were presented a needs assessment that was done on district history and the preservation of that history. And now Brenda is going to be undertaking several activities that is relevant to moving forward with achieving what needs to be done. And I'll call attention to 2 very important ones out of all of the topics here. And it has to do with creating a district legacy record collection to make it more accessible to find the information and the aids that the various staff that are working on education would be helpful to find, as well as the improved storage and digitization of our records. And then equally as important is to work on creating a records retention policy for the parks with respect to field finds or field history that occurs at the parks and visitor centers. This will of course be in partnership with the new community outreach coordinator or cultural resources coordinator, I'm sorry. But you can just see a variety of activities. Finally, and I will wrap up with this, the Parks Foundation is very pleased and proud to continue, once again, funding in a variety of ways to support exclusively EBRPD's programs and activities and important work that we can help provide funding for. We will be providing continuing to provide, I should say, $500,000 for youth programming, close to $200,000 for Camp Arroyo to send children from the underserved communities, particularly around some of the places like Chevron Refinery, to Camp Arroyo. Continuing to fund virtual park tours that the INR team has done such a great job at creating, specifically for people who are unable to physically visit parks. And then we're going to continue, of course, to fund our regular staples of fish derbies and all abilities, ADA related events. Just coming on relatively new is a health impact study that Stewardship is doing of all of the park lands. And we are pleased to be able to fund a portion of that. I'm taking that to my board next week. We've already funded for the year some animal tracking cameras to help out Stewardship in defining what in the heck is going on with some of these animal species at all times. And then the new funding source, as I mentioned earlier, is to fund municipal animal shelters to assist us with our feral cat education, to get the public to acknowledge and understand why it is very detrimental on our endangered species impacts, particularly along the shoreline. And then other campaigns is continuing to look at initiating our capital campaign. We're still very committed to that with the Tilden EEC and Jewel Lake, offering memberships at park kiosks, which is a huge opportunity for us. That's where a lot of people find out about the Park Foundation in the first place. And then taking 10% of our net revenue from our membership program to provide free memberships to the Black and Brown communities through third-party nonprofit groups. So that is our all told overview of what we're doing this year in public affairs. And I'm going to stop sharing and happy to answer any questions you have.
You have a lot on your plate. Questions and comments from board. Director Wieskamp. And you are muted.
Congratulations to your whole team. It's been a tough year and I think they've done a great job. I met someone I didn't know and we were talking about those classes, fitness classes, and she said that she and her husband were both enjoying them. So pass it on, the word spreading. You don't have to meet in parks to find great park people who help you stay fit, but the programs all look great. And I am going to hold you to that opening of Dumbarton Quarry Outground. Let's hope for all of it to happen. Thanks, Carol.
You're so welcome.
Any other Director Waspy?
Well, yeah, thank you, Carol, for all the great stuff that you and your staff do. I truly appreciate it. And I guess my specific question, it might be offline maybe, but I'm very interested in the Peace Poll. As you know, I think the group was very, very excited about hearing that that was going to be a permanent part of Go. And if it's going to come to fruition this year, please let me know. I'd love to be a part of it. I mean, we could even do a little shovel ceremony with a lot of the real interested parties that really bought into this. They're very excited to see it come to fruition.
Thanks, Director Waspy, and you definitely are on the list. You've been there for the past 3 years as we've initiated this relationship with the United Nations. The Peace Poll project, we're hoping will come to fruition today. I have that in the hands of Mona Coe, and if anybody can do it, Mona can do it. And I just, you know, I think that the community, particularly the community that goes to Lake Chabot, and it's just such a multi-diverse community, will very much appreciate being able to see that poll in, I think it's going to be 13 different languages. So it'll be something else. And I don't know of any other Peace Poll that's been installed in a park in the Bay Area at this time. So it could be the first. I can't be quoted on that yet, but it could be.
Great.
Maybe.
So thank you.
Any other question? Or Director Lane?
Well, I just want to compliment you again on this. And I I know the struggle we're having with the archives about where to store things and how to take care of things and how to keep it going. I appreciate your attention to that. And once again, I want to mention that when we open the Tyler staging area at Pleasanton Ridge, that we might think about some kind of pole at the top there so that all those Mission Peak people
A new pole?
have a destination that they might want to climb up to that will rival Mission Peak. I don't know about a peace pole. This seems very serious and special, but something else, just, you know, I know you have all these ideas.
That I will have to take up with my dear friend in operations to see how Mr. O'Connor will have another group of people waiting in line to stand next to a pole atop a ridge.
No,
yes, thank you, Director Lane.
Got some great peaks. Okay.
Director Coffey.
That was a very impressive presentation, Carol. Very ambitious and appreciated. I suppose it's going to have to wait until it's safe to have community events again, but I was wondering if there are any thoughts given to, you know, my favorite program, the Ambassador Program, because I really miss doing those gigs.
I almost put it in the presentation just for you, Director Coffey. We would love nothing more than to start up the Ambassador Program, and yet we have to wait until there's community events that are going to happen. So it could very well be that if we continue to improve as a community or an East Bay in our counties, maybe there might be some opportunities in the late summer, fall. I don't know, but we will count on you and Mila to be first in line for that.
I'm just going to put it on my July 4th calendar. It's the president's suggested it may happen. So thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else before I say something? Seeing none, I will. Oh, Director Eccles, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'll just add my 2 cents as well. Thank you, Carol, for the overview. A lot on your plate. Really appreciate all of the great work, and a special thank you for getting the fund for Director Whitney Dotson kicked off. Really appreciate that. Thanks.
You bet. And I have been in touch with Jelani, his son, and we do plan to meet very soon to get that ramped up. So thank you for the reminder on that.
My pleasure, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, Carol, this is you're, of course, you run a great program. You and your department just fabulous. But I'm really excited about the toolkit with the that supervisors can actually use and target their target the parks to the audiences. It's fabulous. And I'm also encouraged by the greater increase in in our science being multilingual. The more we do that, the better. And I have one suggestion for the website.
Yes.
If someone clicks on a particular park, it might be nice to have an acknowledgement of a particular tribe that's in that particular park. Have an acknowledgement and that was their land, that was their presence there, and I think that would be especially nice.
That's great. We can certainly work with our interpretation folks on appropriate information. That's great. Very, very great idea. Great. And in the toolkit, I myself have been thinking about, how we could assist our park supervisors for a long, long time. And then government affairs came along and had already, had the same thoughts. So I was very happy that government affairs through Lisa and Eric have really pushed forward through some great partnerships to get this done finally. I think it's important with all the movement going on with the supervisors as well, that they understand who they're representing, because, you know, people do move around the agency, and that they understand who some of their major partners are that we, you know, want them to represent too. So anyway.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks again for all the comments.
All right. President Rosario.
Yes.
I sent you a chat. You probably didn't have a chance to look at it. We did have a member of the public come into this meeting that wants to comment on this item.
Okay, great.
Affairs plan, and the person's name is Suresh Bajaj. If you could just unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for accommodating me.
You're welcome.
And I think it's a fantastic communication plan. I'm really impressed. My concern is that it seems to be different parts of the park district doing different things that contradict each other. All the communication I get via the newsletter or whatever the insert comes in San Jose or Mercury, all of them want me to go to the parks. Yet at the same time, the reality on the ground is that the park district parts are doing everything to prohibit people from going to the park. I live in Fremont, and I'll take the example of the Vargas Park. We can also talk about the Mission Park that one of the directors earlier mentioned. For the Vargas Park, the parking area at the top was reduced from 75 to 100 down to 25. Then all kinds of no parking signs have been placed on the Morrison Canyon Road near the entrance. Then about a week ago, at the bottom of the Morrison Canyon Road, no parking signs have been put by East Bay Park District, although I don't even know that they can do that because the road is part of the city of Fremont. And then the Pickering entrance has been closed. So I don't know how to go to these parks that I get these fantastic newsletters from. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Frustration.
Thank you very much. That will be part of our discussions, I'm sure, in the future. So now we are at, was there another presentation? I believe not. Now we're at item number 5, committee board reports. Any comments or additions to the legislative committee from 2019?
I think most of it's moved forward.
Okay. Finance committee from 25. And then executive committee from 120. I don't have anything there. And then finance committee from 1123. Those have probably all been moved forward. So seeing none, we come now to item number 6, announcements from closed session.
And President Rosario, Carol Victor, District Council, there are no reports from closed session.
Excellent, thank you. And now we are at our favorite portion, item 7, board comments. And I'm going to go kind of clockwise to my screen. I'm going to start with Director Wieskamp, and then Director Lane, and then Waspy.
You always surprise us, Dee. See if we're awake, right?
I just go, it's easier to go by my screen.
It's been a very efficient meeting, so congratulations. We had the workshop on the 5th. I attended. I had a meeting with our first liaison meeting this year with Dublin, the vice mayor and liaison. Very good. And we've agreed to meet at least twice a year. So we'll be meeting again in the fall. I watched Mayor Carla Brown's State of the City in Pleasanton. She is the new mayor, and I thought she did a great job. The next day, I attended the Alameda County Special District Association meeting. And the next one will be at East Bay Regional Park District, virtually, of course, I'm afraid. And there is a special meeting being planned by LAVCO. We had our meeting and we're going to have one on April 8th because of an issue for the city of Livermore. I'd like again to thank Brian Holt and his staff for working on looking at the Aramis Solar Project. I hope we'll continue to follow that because I think there are a lot of issues involved, and I don't know that we need to be involved in anything further than paying attention and asking for them to examine the issues that we are concerned about. And I guess I would like an update maybe from Jim's department on when they are going to be able to rebuild the Vasco workshop, which you remember was last year burned down. Luckily, it did not take out their wonderful water system, but I know they're eager to have it redone. And again, I'll just thank everybody in the parks who are doing such a great job of trying to give people access, and for those who are paying attention to following the rules. It really helps if all of our customers pay attention to each other and their dogs and all the rest. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Director Lane.
Thank you. I had a pretty busy couple of weeks, considering we're doing all these virtual things and I'm just dying to see people. We did have an excellent board workshop, our first workshop. I attended the Roddy Ranch public meeting, which I thought went very well, with some interaction by asking questions and getting responses from the people who attended. And it was wonderful maps and a very good meeting, I thought, to kick off the prospective opening of the former golf course. I had my one-on-one with our new general manager. Thank you. I talked a little longer than I meant to, but that was our first meeting. And we did have a Dublin liaison meeting, which, as always, is pretty interesting. Lots of different things that they talked about that are important to the regional parks. And then I did go to a mayor's conference on March 4th, where East Bay Mud did a presentation update. And it does seem to me that if East Bay Mud is giving an update, that perhaps, Carol, we need to be talking about an update from the Park District sometime soon, and also introducing our new general manager in that setting. I don't believe that, maybe others of you can remember, but I don't think we've done a regular, presentation to Contra Costa Mayor's Conference in a while. So I think that would be very helpful. Then I do want to thank Christina Kelchner and Brian Holt for their conversations with regard to the Faria Preserve. That proposed development is right next to our Concord Hills Park, and we're very concerned about the impacts that development will have on our future park. And it's a park that's going to serve people regionally, not only Concord, but Pittsburgh and many people beyond. Then I did get into the parks, so I did some hiking at Las Trampas, Sycamore Valley Open Space, and both of those places, one on Sunday and one on Saturday, are beginning to have tremendous number of cars. What can I say? They're beginning to look for a poppy bloom at Las Trampas. And the Sycamore Valley, there were so many, and a lot of Asian Americans. And I thought, well, maybe it was a big church coming, because I had never seen so many cars parked there. So I asked different people, and they said, no, there's hiking up here. And I said, oh, good. Well, enjoy. So it wasn't a big organization. It was just a huge flow of cars in a parking lot that's in back of a church. And usually there'll be maybe 10%, and it was almost half full of people taking advantage of the parks. Extraordinary. Then some other little hiking around. I'm really delighted we're in the red tier. For me and Danville, we are opening our local history museum on Friday. And I'm very pleased to see us beginning to open our visitors centers and get the Volunteer Safety Patrol out and about, because there's a lot of new people in the parks that evidently don't thoroughly understand the rules. And to have our Volunteer Safety Patrol out there with their big smiles and their presence, I think really will be a help. So thank you for getting that going. Then I am doing some things with Hike the Hill back in Washington. I know we're not going back there at the same time as Hike this year, which is this month. But I put my Anza Trail Foundation hat on, and I'm doing some communications with trail and park people in the various congressional offices to remind them about the presence of the Anza Trail. And I do want to mention that when we put all these Anza Trail signs up in the East Bay, I think there's 12 or 13 of them. One of the things that we put at the bottom of each sign was that this is the homeland of the Wichan Ohlone tribe. So that was something that was done maybe 5 or 6 years ago in an acknowledgement to whose land those signs appear upon. And then finally, I just want to thank Carol Victor for all of the work she's done in her double duty working as our counsel and the interim general manager. And we appreciate all that work and hope you'll take a vacation soon, Carol.
Thank you. And I received a really beautiful flower arrangement this afternoon, so thank you.
Oh, good, it came. Great.
Yes. So, thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Excellent. And then who do I have next? Director Waspy.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to give a big welcome to Sabrina. Glad you're here, and I look forward to our hike tomorrow in Roberts Park, or walk tomorrow in Roberts Park. Bring a jacket. But on March 4th, I had met with John Kaufman from the Hills Conservancy. I hope you all know by now about his planned JPA for fire protection in the East Bay Hills. He had some interesting ideas, and I look forward to meeting with him again. And I hope we can at least meet with him and talk to him about what his plan is. On March 9th, I attended the COVID task force, and we're continuing to move along. I applaud the reoperation plan from the parks, and I applaud the union for asking some real pertinent questions as to how we're going to open up, and I look forward to us getting back to some normalcy. On March 12th, I met with, it was the government affairs, Lisa and Eric, and Director Rosario and I met with folks from the Alameda County Transportation Commission, and we talked about some of our mutual interests and some of our mutual opportunities with some build grants in Alameda County, and it was a very productive meeting, and I look forward to meeting with them further. On March 15th, the California Association of Recreation and Park Districts had a conference committee meeting, and I guess because we're crazy old recreation people that like to get out and have some fun, we're forging ahead with a live conference on June 23rd to 26th. So if the hotel in Monterey is open and you guys are willing, and I invite you all to come down there for that. I've hiked throughout the parks in the last couple weeks, having a lot of fun. It's springtime, it's beautiful in the parks. I met with two property owners who have the same issues as the folks at Pickering. I won't mention the folks at Pickering down at Vargas Plateau, but I met with someone from Cull Canyon who has the same issues. It is the whole deal of 30% more people are showing up. People are coming from neighborhoods to parks. I really emphasize we really need to address this issue. It's at some point, I hope AGM Johnson still has lots of copies of those economic brochure we did to show the impact of having the great good fortune to live next to a park district, not only having that beautiful access, but to be able to have a house that's worth about 10% more than the one directly across the street from you that's not on Park District property. Anyway, oh yeah, and Carol Victor, thank you so much for your great job you did as our interim GM and carrying us through this interesting times and big changes. So thank you very much, Carol. Appreciate it. And that's it.
Great. Next up is Director Coffey, then Director Eccles.
Okay, thank you. On March 3rd, based on a tip from Sean Dugan, Mila and I went out to Lone Tree to watch the cranes place the new bridge on the San Pablo Bay Trail out there in Rodeo. And that was quite a sight and a lot of fun and excitement to watch. On the 4th, I attended the executive committee meeting. Also on the 4th, I attended along with Bev the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference. On the 5th, I also attended the board workshop. And on the 10th, I attended the Contra Costa Watershed Forum, which was focused this year or this quarter on efforts involving the Pinole Creek watershed. On the 10th, along with Eric, I met with Assemblyman Frazier's staff as a make update on the Ledge Day meetings. On the 11th, along with planning staff, we met with the Antioch mayor and vice mayor to preview the community outreach session that was going to be held that night on the Roddy Ranch community output input meeting. On the 11th, I also met with our new GM, and like Beverly, probably went on too long. I apologize. And that evening attended the Roddy Ranch community outreach meeting. On the 14th, I attended a town hall sponsored by Congressman McNerney. On yesterday, on the 15th, I attended a meeting held by President Rosario to prepare for today's meeting. And finally, I just wanted to say I'm very pleased, very happy and proud of the ability to nominate Elisa Robinson for the PAC, renominate Elisa Robinson for the PAC, and to newly nominate Marie Arce, who is Park Commission Chair of the City of Antioch. Elisa's from Pittsburgh, both very worthy, and I wanted to thank the board for confirming their appointments on our consent calendar today. They also both, in addition to being very worthy PAC members, contribute to the diversity we're seeking on that body among its membership. So thank you, Dee.
You're welcome. Director Eccles.
Great. Well, thank you, President Rosario. First of all, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our new GM, Sabrina Landritz. We really look forward to working with you and hope you will love working here as much as we do. And I also wanted to say really a heartfelt thank you to Carol Victor for her work of holding down both jobs of GM and General Counsel. I'm not quite sure how you did that, but if anyone can, you can. So you proved that to be true. Thank you for that. So in terms of meetings, March 3rd, I attended the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. And then on the 5th, the first board workshop of the year. On the 10th, I also attended the Alameda County Special Districts Association meeting, which was a really good presentation from the Alameda County Healthcare Service Agency on the vaccine rollout, and also a presentation from the state, the California State Special Districts Association as well. So both of those were very interesting. That evening, also the 10th, I attended a meeting with the Sierra Club East Bay Public Lands Commission and spoke at their committee meeting, and really appreciated a very very productive, very enlightening conversation, and really look forward to continuing to work with them on various issues. And then I appreciate the AGM O'Connor's presentation on all of the reopenings. It's very exciting. I'm especially really happy to hear about the day camps going forward, as well as visitor centers opening, outdoor swim facilities, and of course our volunteer safety patrol. So, thank you so much for all of that. Enjoying being out in the parks with my daughter, and we've particularly been enjoying Tilden, and we're just out at Point Isabel recently as well. And finally, wanted to also thank and acknowledge my appointee to the PAC board, my most recent one, James Chang, who many of you will remember when he applied for this appointment. Very great person from Berkeley, who I think will add a lot of perspective and also diversity to the PAC board. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you. Last and least, maybe. So on 3/3, I attended the emergency operating committee in Director Corbett's stead, and she also apologizes. She had to leave early today. And then kudos to the EOC leadership there. Your commitment and how you run that meeting. Everything's very concise and brief and to the point. And I appreciate your dedication to that. And then on 3/4, I attended the executive committee meeting, and that was a great report on managing the shorelines. Congratulations to Brian Holt and his staff. Fabulous. And then on 3/4, attended the pre-workshop meeting with Deborah Ocker and Carol Victor and Dr. Alvarez. I'm glad we met. Helps solve some anxieties for the president. And then on 3/4, I attended the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference. There, also want to give kudos to East Bay Mud. They gave their update, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things that they do that I think we should be aspire to. They have an equity contract program where they strive to get all their contracts local. Their alternative energy efforts produces more than they need, and they actually give back to the grid. And then they also have a Grow Your Own program where they've engaged with the Ella Baker Center, and they've identified a couple of jobs where they actually offer apprenticeships, and they've been successful in getting a couple people into positions at East Bay Mud. So things to aspire to. And then what was brought up there was funds from RN3 are still in escrow, from litigation. There's a lot of money put away in there, and hopefully that'll get resolved soon. And then the other news out of there was the eBricks. This is for Chief Tributo. The eBricks radio systems, I guess the state has passed some new laws that it requires that transmissions be encrypted. And so it's going to cost like $1,000 per radio. So Hope you got something stuck away in your sock there. And then also there was a big push by Bay Area Air Quality Management District to apply for grants for electric vehicle charging stations. In my neighborhood, there must be dozens and dozens of electric vehicles, including myself. And the need for charging stations is going to be growing, and we should get on that. We should take advantage of that, especially for our new Prato Oaks and maybe some of our parks as well. And then on 3.5, the board workshop, well run. Thank you very much to the organizers and to the board members for attending and contributing. And then on 3.9 had my one-on-one with Sabrina. Very nice. We had a very nice talk. I think she's gonna do us proud. And then on that afternoon, I also attended the COVID task force. Again, kudos to that committee to continue to contribute and make sure that we stay safe. And then on 3/11, that evening on the 10th, Bev Ortiz's birthday. She had a little small party, and she launched a new nonprofit, and it's called, hope I got this right, the National California Resource Institute, and they're going to provide, they're going to be a resource for Native American, resource throughout California. So that was well done. She says hi to everyone. She looks fabulous. And then on 3/11, I attended the Regional Parks Foundation Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Subcommittee. Very good discussions coming out of there. And then on 3/12, I attended the Alameda County Transportation Commission with Director Waspy and Eric. We have quite a bit of overlap as far as there's possibilities for overlap in the build projects, but it's amazing what they've been doing in Alameda County, and to our benefit, the Gilman overpass, and also was it Ashby? There was another one, but amazing. Hopefully we can meet again and when we firm up our build projects. And then on 3/14, I met with constituents. They call themselves the Rock Ridge Resistance. They're all about Lake Temescal, and they live right above there, above Lake Temescal, and they're very, very worried. They want to make sure that we're going to continue to look forward into dredging the lake, and I gave them all the assurance I could that the project will go forward, but slowly. And then 3:15, I had my pre-board meeting with the general manager and Carol Victor and Dr. Alvarez. And then and of course and then also that afternoon I met with Eric and Lisa again from Legislative, and we talked about the possibilities about a future tax measure. And then also the evening of 3:15, I attended the Oakland DD Coalition, and I just gave a brief report about all the people who are stealing from Oakland, and they want a commission. But what came out of there was the Bay Trail around High Street. Looks like that's going to have to be the High Street Bridge. Looks like that's going to have to be an at-grade crossing. Park Street, we're just awaiting a review from the U.S. Coast Guard, and then if no one complains about the channel, that's going to move forward. So we could have a catwalk underneath the Park Street Bridge. So that's one piece of the puzzle down for Oakland. And then, of course, we're here today. And then this evening, I'm looking forward to East Bay Mud and the City of Moraga having an update on their opening of their I guess, an update on their litigation as far as the Lafayette Moraga Trail and the slide there. So I just wanted to end with congratulations to our new general manager, Sabrina. I think you'll do very, very well here. And to Carol Victor, thank you so much for being our interim general manager. I think you did it. I thought you did it very well. Like I said, and as I don't think the rest of the board knows, we sent her a gift. And what I'll do is I'll send a picture. I don't know if you can hold it up to your camera, but it's pretty big, probably.
Yeah. I don't think it will show up. You sent me a lovely arrangement, and it's succulents, and it's from my favorite nursery in Oakland as well. So,
oh, wow. Good. Good deal, Dee.
And thank you very much. And I've got wonderful clients, so you made it easy last couple of months. So thank you for the trust and confidence. And I am happy to pass the mantle on to Sabrina. She hit the ground running, and I'm excited about this new era for the Park District.
Yes, we all are. And with that, I would like to close in honor of our interim general manager, Carol Victor. And her time and her service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
With
you.
that,
Good job, Dee.
we are adjourned.
Bye.
Everybody.